Hello everybody, this is Jordan here with TrueHumanity. Pretty excited to be back here again. I know it's been a little break. It is the summer months, things are busy, life happens, and some exciting things going on personally. So I'm just happy to be back, make a quick video for you guys. I'm gonna touch a little bit on current affairs today. I know soon as the summer goes on, I'll be diving into what I talked about with the ancient civilizations, specifically Egypt and Lebanon and the Mesoamerican cultures and pretty much a lot of other cultures throughout the world that a lot of evidence has come forth regarding megalithic architecture, geometric significances in this architecture, and just a plethora of other details and scientific evidence that's come forth, especially over the last few decades, probably over the last century, I would say. And plenty of other researchers not only doing this digging of information, no pun intended, but actually going out to these places and showing the evidence that hopefully I'll be able to discuss in the coming weeks and months. So I wanted to take a quick moment here to discuss something very important going on. And if you follow this channel and are familiar with the topics and the information I discuss, this should not be a new information for you, but it's something that's very important, especially considering what I've gone into in my other videos. And today what I'm going to be talking about is the Taurid meteor swarm, or the Taurid meteor stream. And if you go back into my other videos here at TrueHumanity, you'll see I discussed a little bit more in depth on the details of the Taurid meteor stream, what the progenitor comet or meteor-like body was, and how it's been interacting, and as Graham Hancock says, has been the hidden hand in human history, at least for the last 12, 13, 14,000 years. So the importance of this video and the importance of discussing this topic today is that right now, as we speak, what's today, June 24th, 25th of 2019, we are in the middle of the Taurid meteor stream interacting with the planet Earth. We are smack dab in the middle. This week, next week, about a 12 to 15 day time frame of us interacting with the Taurid meteor stream. And there's a couple articles coming out, and the first one I want to just touch on is from Forbes magazine, or Forbes.com. And luckily or thankfully, it's catching on a little more, this information, this topic of comets and meteors and asteroids and planet-like bodies, rocky bodies that interact with Earth and the space around us, our solar system, 24/7, 365, or all the time. So the first article is from Forbes, and I'm going to post, there's a couple articles I want to touch on today, and I'll post the links for them in the description box under this video. And this article is from Forbes on June 11th, 2019, so about a week or so ago. The title of this article is, "Earth is now approaching the same meteor swarm that wiped out a Siberian forest." And what they mean by that is, and I've touched on this in previous videos, is the Tunguska event in Russia in 1908, which wiped out about 2,000 square kilometers of forest, just like matchsticks, just leveled 2,000 square kilometers, or about 1,000 square miles of forest in 1908. And the article here starts off by saying, "Our solar system is in a dangerous place, and this month, or June, Earth inches closer to one of its riskier places, the Taurid swarm of meteors." And though this article says it's a theorized vast cloud of debris and possibly larger objects left over from a massive comet's disintegration that is suspected of causing catastrophic collision events in the past. This is according to Western Meteor Physics Group's data analysis. And they're saying that Earth is now approaching within 30,000 kilometers of its center. This is the closest such encounter since 1975. So in the last 35, 40 years, this will be the closest time we've come to a bunching up, if you will, of larger fragments of this ancient comet that has disintegrated and stretched out and diffused over a wide space over the last 25,000 years. So even though they say there's no threat of bombardment by meteors for now, astronomers want to know if it could be a problem, particularly when Earth passes directly through the meteor swarm in November 2030. So this article goes on to show that the beta Taurids, because you have the beta Taurids now, and then the other Taurids, forgive me, I forget the name, I believe the beta Taurids is the main Taurids right now, and then the north and south Taurids are pretty much the late October one, because it interacts with Earth twice a year. And the beta Taurids, which we are in the middle of right now, is a stream we pass through between June 5th and July 18th, even though the majority of the stream, the densest part, if you will, is this 2-week period. We're almost halfway through right now. So they're saying that the swarm, the bunching up the bigger fragments of this meteor, most likely won't be interacting with our orbit of Earth this time around, but in 15 years or so, we're going to be right smack in the middle of that big swarm, if you will. Think a swarm of bees or a swarm of birds, whatever. It's going to be a lot more fragments, a lot more average of getting hit by something bigger than a pebble or a basketball. So the Taurid swarm, as they talk about here, is a cloud of debris from the original comet Encke, which they're saying scientists think may be responsible for some once-in-a-thousand-year catastrophic events on Earth. So let me read that again. The Taurid complex comet, every 1,000 years, has hit Earth, a big enough piece to cause a global event, let's say. Maybe not an extinction of the human race or near extinction, but enough that the whole planet is affected in some severe way. So this article goes on to discuss a little bit about the Taurids, the Tunguska event of 1908, and they're really talking about how this is an opportunity over the next decade or two to kind of study more closely not only the Taurid stream, but how these bodies interact with our planet. So they're using a lot of telescopes, the Canada, France, Hawaii telescope, to kind of hone in on this and show that this is real. I mean, it is real, but just to show you that we're coming into a period of history or time on Earth where this could really affect day-to-day life on this planet. And if we're not careful, this could be an Earth-changing event. And it's not like it has to be in 2032. It could happen this year in 2019. A Tunguska-like event, a 150 diameter space rock, could slam into Earth at any moment. We can't detect this until it's a day or two out, maybe, depending on the size. So another article by the National UAE this is published on June 22nd, so only a couple days ago. And the title of this article is Earth on Course to Pass Through Vast Swarm of Meteors. And the subtitle, I guess if you will, is exactly what will happen when our planet sweeps through the Taurid complex is unknown, but astronomers are preparing to observe the contents of the cosmic debris. So, again, this article starts off by saying, this week, our planet will cut across a vast swarm of meteors, including some big enough to wipe out a major city with the violence of a nuclear weapon. This is the first sentence in this article. So, yet again, they go into a little more detail about the Taurid complex, the Tunguska event, and how the 1908 Tunguska event had the power of 1,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs going off. And that wasn't even an impact into land, that was an airburst about 5 miles above the ground. But the kinetic energy and the force of that burst leveled 2,000 square kilometers of land, just leveled everything, standing an inch above the ground. So, like they continue to say, now Earth is about to make its closest approach to the same swarm since June 1975, when instruments put on the moon by the Apollo missions detected enormous numbers of meteors pummeling our nearest celestial neighbor for several days. Now keep in mind, the moon is very close. It takes 2-3 days to get there with a rocket. It's obviously the closest large object to our planet. And in 1975, it was bombarded heavily that our instruments we put up, 15 years earlier to that on the moon detected it, and detected it largely. So this article continues, exactly what will happen over the coming days is unknown, but astronomers around the world are preparing to observe the contents of the Taurid complex as the planet sweeps through. So this article continues to talk about how the astronomers are utilizing this opportunity to study more about the Taurid complex and the comets and their interactions here. They go on to say scientists have long accepted that Earth has been struck many times by comets and asteroids over its 4.5 billion year history. This is kind of like a stock statement that you hear a lot. Obviously, in 4.5 billion years, we've been pummeled by millions of meteors and bodies from space. What we're really worried about is the last 10,000 years and the 100 impacts at least we've had from a basketball size up to the Younger Dryas, as we've talked about in previous videos. And this article kind of discusses more about the Tunguska event, even though it wasn't really explored for 2 decades later. And even 2 decades later, late 1920s, early 1930s, the devastation was still immense. Because remember, this was in Siberia in the middle of nowhere. But this article continues saying the concern that the Tunguska event could reoccur has been mounting for decades. In 1947, astronomers at Britain's Jodrell Bank Radio Telescope near Manchester discovered a shower of meteors which Earth encountered at the same time each year as the Tunguska event. So this is ongoing. This isn't just once every 100 years. We're seeing that this is happening. I do like this article. There's a couple other things in this article I really enjoy. So there are now thought to be debris shed by a 5-kilometer wide chunk of ice and dust, first observed in 1786, known as Encke's Comet. Its orbit brings it closer to the searing heat of the sun than Mercury, making it potentially unstable. Historians have also uncovered evidence that a medieval report of a flaming torch that split the moon in two one evening in late June 1178, the year 1178, may have been the result of a Taurid complex object entering the Earth's atmosphere in the same part of the sky. I have looked into their research, and many others, like Randall Carlson et al., talk about British astronomers Dr. Victor Klube and Dr. Bill Napier of the University of Oxford in England, argues that the best explanation for all of these events was that a giant comet around 100 kilometers across entered the solar system and has been breaking apart ever since, leaving this vast trail of debris through which the Earth passes twice a year. So, this so-called Taurid resonant swarm is expected to harbor much more debris and potentially Tunguska-sized objects, posing a significant impact risk to Earth. Support for the existence of this swarm emerged in 2015 when a team of European astronomers predicted an encounter with part of the swarm and recorded over 140 fireballs shooting through the Earth's atmosphere. This team, led by Dr. Pavel Spurny in Czech Republic, in 2015 showed some objects at least 200 to 300 meters across, both far more massive than Tunguska, entering the atmosphere at huge speeds and would trigger a blast capable of wiping out a large city for sure. And these reports were published in the Journal of Astronomy and Astrophysics, and the team concluded that such events of this swarm are extremely important, continuing to highlight the importance of this. So it's very important. I'm not, like I've discussed in previous videos, I'm not a doomsdayer or naysayer, but I'm a realist in many aspects, saying this is something we encounter twice a year for the last at least 15,000 years. Twice a year this happens. So twice a year we're rolling dice and saying, hopefully, it doesn't come up snake eyes and, we get a hit. So this is not just one article or two articles, there's many articles, and I just chose two to highlight. And it's something that over the next 2 weeks you should definitely be paying attention to, because the beta Taurids are coming from a heliocentric orbit, so they're coming from the sun. So the chances of us spotting it are very, very slim, unless it's a very sophisticated satellite or other observation techniques, because it's going to be coming directly from the sun. So just to end on a different note, this is an article from space.com, and this was published on June 17th, 2019, and the title of this article is BAM! Fresh Crater Spied on Mars, and it looks spectacular. So the crater is about 50 feet wide, and I'll post the link to this article in this video, because the picture of this is pretty cool. And the article goes on to say, Mars got whacked. A small space rock crashed into the red planet's surface recently, producing a fresh crater that researchers estimate is 49 to 53 feet wide. And they talk about how this picture, the feature, is clearly visible through NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which has been imaging the red planet for more than 13 years with high-resolution cameras constantly. And it's a pretty cool picture, color picture, that shows the bruise and the black and blue mark on the landscape. Otherwise, a red surface of Mars would be there. So because this orbiter, this satellite, whatever, is not stationary, it's orbiting Mars, they're not clear exactly when this hit, but they've estimated that it hit somewhere between September 2016 and February 2019. So the crater, they're saying, is on the larger side of the ones they've ever seen. So they're saying that the impact was created within this time period as they're imaging the surface of Mars. They're saying that the impact, or the comet or meteorite or meteor, was about 5 feet wide. So if it had come through Earth, since we have an atmosphere, it would have either burst into pieces or eroded away completely before it even came close to the ground. So, like they say in this article, it's a reminder of what's out there. So they do say it's a gorgeous crater, and they're glad they got the picture. But it's just another piece of evidence that, listen, there's 9 planets in this solar system, and, as many, at least, moons in this solar system, and we're all just as vulnerable as any other object in this solar system to getting hit by space rocks. So it's not just Earth, it's not just the moon, it's not just Mars and Jupiter, it's every planet. We're hurtling through space at how many miles an hour? Tens of thousands of miles an hour, or at least 12,000, 15,000 miles an hour, in a cosmic shooting gallery. And it's something that we have to be mindful of, because at any moment, especially this week and next week, something can hit. And I think it's important that we be mindful of it. You continue to live your life, obviously. Don't get down, don't get depressed or doom and gloom. But on the other side of that coin, there's something we can do about it. There's voices we can raise, there's information we could share, and evidence and data we could look at to show, listen, this isn't a rare event. Something big like Tunguska may not be an every year event, but interacting with these meteors and comets are a yearly event, twice a year at least for Taurids. And Taurid meteor stream isn't the only meteors we interact with during the year. It's just the most visible, it's the largest amount that we interact with, or that we see in our night sky. So just wanted to share this with you as we're right in the middle of the Taurid meteor stream, and these articles are popping up everywhere about it, and I hope you guys are keeping aware and looking up. And this month we've been able, at least in the northern hemisphere in the United States, to see Jupiter pretty clearly. Even with binoculars you can make out the moons of Jupiter in the sky. I don't know how much longer that'll last, but I think it's going to be at least another week or so. And I posted on my Facebook page a picture I took just with a phone, and how big the Jupiter appears in the sky to the unaided eye. So I hope you guys found value out of this. Keep your eyes and ears open. Hopefully in the next few weeks or month, I'll be able to continue on with our Ancient Civilization, Advanced Civilization series, beginning on Egypt and so forth. I don't want to give a date yet because it is the summer here and things are happening. It's busy. It's vacation time and everything. So they will be coming, and I look forward to doing that as well. So I hope you guys have a great day, and just remember, try and go out and enjoy nature, enjoy being around people, just enjoy life. Don't let the small things bother you. Don't let anxiety or global politics or anything in between get to you, because at the end of the day, it's ultimately out of our hands. But what is within our control is how we react and how we view the world and each other. And we could do that in a positive way, in a loving way, in a compassionate way. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.